as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remnants of his foodstuff and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kashyapa informed his wife that just because Lord Shiva happened to be his brother-in-law, that should not encourage her in her offense towards him. Kashyapa warned her that actually Lord Shiva is not connected with anyone, nor is anyone his enemy. Since he is one of the three controllers of the universal affairs, he is equal to everyone. His greatness is incomparable because he is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said that among all the devotees of the Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva is the greatest. Thus, the remnants of foodstuff left by him are accepted by other devotees as Maha Prasada or great spiritual foodstuff. The remnants of foodstuff offered to Lord Krishna are called as Prasada. But when the same Prasada is eaten by a great devotee like Lord Shiva, it is called Maha Prasada. Lord Shiva is great that he does not care for the material prosperity for which every one of us is so eager. Parvati, he is the powerful material energy personified. He is under his full control as his wife, yet he does not use her even to build a residential house. He prefers to remain without shelter and his great wife also agrees to live with him humbly. People in general worship Goddess Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, for material prosperity, but Lord Shiva engages her in his service without material desire. He simply advises his great wife that of all kinds of worship, the worship of Vishnu is the highest, and greater than that is the worship of great devotee or anything in relation with Vishnu. Doesn't the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimira Andasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here the further qualities of Lord Shiva are enumerated by Kashyapa Muni. Because Diti might think that Kashyapa and Lord Shiva are related. So he might excuse them of the abominable act if they continue. So Kashyapa is explaining the nature of Lord Shiva by saying, Nayasya loke svajanah parova. In this world there is nobody dear to him or nobody enemy to him. Svajanaha paraha. He doesn't take anybody as either somebody of his family or somebody as enemy or something like that. Natya dhruto nota kaschid vigarhaya. Somebody is very favorable or somebody is abominable. He doesn't treat them in that relationship at all. Vayam vrater yat charanapaviddam. We accept vows, whatever has been rejected by him, yat charanapaviddam. Ashashmahe ajam bata bhukta bhogam. And we accept the food that is left over by Lord Shiva. We accept the remnants of foodstuffs, Mahaprasad. In that way, he is saying the position of Lord Shiva is superior. He is a great personality. We are here to serve him. Now, the purport Prabhupada is saying, Kashyapa informed his wife that just because Lord Shiva happened to be his brother-in-law, that should not encourage her in her offense towards him. Doesn't mean that Lord Shiva is a great personality and he is a close relative that I can take him very lightly. No. Since he is one of the three controllers of the universal affairs, he is equal to everyone. So he is one of the Gunavatara. Because for the functioning of this material world, the Lord Vishnu had expanded himself into three categories. The Vishnu to maintain Sattva-guna, Brahma to maintain Rajoguna, and Lord Shiva to maintain Tamoguna. So he is one of the Gunavatara. So as incarnations are favorable for all living entities, Lord Shiva being the incarnation of Tamoguna, he is also favorable for all living entities. So Lord Shiva is so great that he does not care for material prosperity for which every one of us is so eager. The whole world is running after money. Everybody wants opulences. Like Prabhupada says, money is sweeter than honey. Because people think with money they can get everything. But they don't realize money cannot buy everything and anything. Like in yesterday's class, also Chanakya Pandit says, Swarna Koti na labhyate. Even if you want 1 second to come back in your life, accidents happens in only 1 second. So you give crores of rupees to get that 1 second back. It is not possible. So time is beyond any of these material calculations. So people in general worship goddess Durga for material prosperity, but Lord Shiva engages her in his service without material desire. So being a pure devotee, he is a liberated personality, he is in a renounced personality, he does not engage material appliances. Always you will be seeing him under a tree, or in Smashana, or in some Kailasha somewhere, Manas Sarovara, so something, he doesn't have a palatial house. So once it is said that all the demigods requested Lord Shiva, you are such a great personality, you should have a good house, comfortable house. You have a family, you have children. So after too much request, Lord Shiva said, okay, let me build a house. So he had built very opulent house. After building the opulent house, then the housewarming ceremony is done. After building the housewarming ceremony, the pujaris came. They performed all the rituals. Now dakshina has to be given to that pujaris. He gave that house and came outside of the house. So he is such a renounced personality. He doesn't run behind all these material opulences. So that is what we understand in Bhagavad Gita. One who is advanced in spiritual life, how he behaves. It is called as equality of vision. Once you are liberated transcendental personality, you do not see bodily discrimination. You see the spirit soul. Because somebody might have a good body, somebody might have a bad body, somebody might have good birth, somebody might have a low birth. This is Swayamkrita Aparadha. This is because of their karma, they are enjoying or suffering in various bodies. But a liberated personality doesn't see in the bodily platform. He sees on the spirit soul platform. In the 5th chapter we see, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Sune Chaiva Swapakacha Pandita Samadarshana. Who is a learned man? The definition of a learned man, Pandita. Who is Samadarshana? Who is equality of vision? So Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, one who is enriched with character, Vidya Vinaya, education. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. He sees a Brahmana, Gavi cow, Hastini elephant, Suni Chaiva, a dog and a dog eater on an equal platform. Because he has seen on the absolute level, spirit soul level. He does not discriminate on the bodily level. So similarly, it says, every householder should be very careful, because even though a householder may try to conquer the senses, he becomes victim to the association of relatives and false turn. So sometimes we become under the social pressure. So what is happening is, in the society, everybody tries to compare with everyone. You can compare apple and apple. Can you compare apple and pomegranate? Because different people, different qualities, different tendencies. Just because everybody is studying the same subject, not that everybody has to be getting same marks. One is theoretical marks, one is practical understanding. Have you understood or not? That is a discrimination. But people just go by this material outside visualization. And generally, how people understand about these spiritual perspectives, they have no clarity about it. And most of the times, if you go to education, you ask anybody, he has finished 10th, you ask him what he will take, what he will become future. Generally, their group of friends will decide, we'll all become this. He will not think of individually. All of our friends are thinking of going into this. It's a group, social influence is there on people. So similarly here also, social influence. When a person becomes married, Ata graha kshetra sutapti vittayar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. He lives not for his family, he lives for the society. That is the problem. Then Ata graha, because you have married, you require a shelter, graha. Because now you are married, now there is a house, you require maintenance. So for that maintenance, you have to work, kshetra. Now after maintaining, then money will come, vitta. Now you have house, work, money, now you require children. Now when you have house, money, children, all these things, now you require friends to display what you have. So in this way, janasya mohoyam aham mameti. People are lost into this cycle of illusion, thinking I, me, mine. So family life, there is a regulation, not run behind. So one of the principle in for a devotee is edrushta labha santushtaha. Be satisfied with whatever comes of its accord. The next also, yogis and jnanis practice in many ways to conquer the senses. But the bhakta immediately attains the mercy of the Supreme Lord through the mercy of the spiritual master. So here you see, you know what is the difference between monkey carrying a kid and a cat carrying a kid? Prabhupada gives this example. What is the difference? Similarly, jnanis and yogis, they are trying to hold on to the Lord. But for devotees, Lord is holding on to the devotees. Guru and Krishna are holding on to the devotees. So this is the perspective. It's a simple way, but in a higher sense. Because you are in devotional service means we are under the shelter of Guru and Krishna. They take care of our responsibility. They take care of our spiritual advancement perspective. To conquer the senses means to engage them constantly in the service of the Lord. One who could not conquer the senses, they are called as karmis. So, who are karmis means one who could not conquer their senses. So in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, there are certain verses which talk about this equality of vision. When the devotees, when they engage in devotional service, what status of mind they maintain. It said, Sarvabhuta Samatvena Nirvairena Appasangataha Brahmacharyena Maunena Swadharmena Baliyasha. So while executing bhakti, Sarvabhuta Samatvena, one should see all living entities equally. For a progressive devotee in devotional service, he has to see all living entities equally. Sarvabhuta Samatvena Nirvairena, without enviousness. Aprasangataha, without any intimate connection with anyone. Brahmacharyena, one has to follow celibacy. Maunena, with gravity. Swadharmena, executing one's own prescribed duties. Baliyasha, one should offer the results to the Supreme Lord. So for a person who is aspiring in devotional service, these are the criteria. Next. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, we all are related with people in 10 different kinds of relationships. So, what are the 10? Krishna explains. Suhurun mitra ari udasina madhyastya dvesha bandhusu sadhushu apicha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Not just friend or enemy or not something like that. There are 10 relationships what we maintain with other living entities. So Krishna is saying, Samabuddhir Vishishyate. The yogi who is aspiring for advancement, he has to be equal in vision for all these 10 categories. Who are that? Suhrun. Suhrut means those who are honest well-wishers. Mitra, a friend. Ari, an enemy. Udasina, those who are envious. Madhyastha, those who are mediators. Dvesha, those who are, this is envious. Madhyastha, Dvesha means envious. Bandhushu, those who are relatives. Sadhushu, those who are pious. Apicha papeshu, those who are sinner. Samabuddhir vishishyate. We have to be equal in vision or impartial with an equal mind for all these categories of people. Because when the devotee comes to the advancement, what is happening is he everywhere sees the Paramatma future. On the basis of Paramatma, he sees equality of vision. Because Paramatma, he is not discriminating. When we are a microbe or we are Brahma, he is always accompanying us. and he is always assisting the devotee or the jiva, what is required for him, he is giving the guidance. If Paramatma is not discriminating, who am I to discriminate? So in that way it says, Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yo Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. So he who is a perfect yogi, paramo mataha, who by comparison of his own self, Atma aupamyena sarvatra, by comparison to his own self, samam pashyati o Arjuna, oh my dear Arjuna, he sees equality everywhere. Samam pashyati. Sukham va yadi va dukkham, either in happiness or in distress. Sayogi paramo mataha, he is the best of the yogis. So if I pinch myself, I am feeling the pain. When I know this pain, will I do to pinch the others? So this is Atmaupamyena, in comparison to himself. He treats every other living entity similarly. So similarly, Lord Shiva, he is also one of the empowered incarnations, as we understand. So he is known as Guna Avatara for Tamoguna. The dissolution of the three worlds is affected by the incarnation of darkness, Rudra, represented by the fire element of eternal time, which blazes over the three worlds. So it is said that at the end of dissolution, Lord Shiva is used. Two types of dissolutions will be there at the end of Brahma's day and at the end of Brahma's life. So Lord Shiva, who is famous for his dance called as Tandava Nritya. So when he ecstatically dances in that perspective, so the fire which emanates burns the entire world to ashes. So in that way, he is helping the Lord in the execution of these material functions as the part of destruct. Then Lord Shiva has one more quality, he is known as Ashutosha. Means one who is easily pacified, one who becomes easily satisfied. So Lord Shiva, he displays many facets of personality, but all these are at the service of the Supreme Lord. He exhibits dependence upon the Lord, Jai Shri Radha Govinda ki, and depends upon his other devotees as surrender and service to them. So one of his prominent feature is he becomes pleased very easily. So among the demigods, he is easy to be pacified. By simple offering a bale leaf, Lord Shiva becomes satisfied. Like how Krishna becomes satisfied by a tulsi leaf. Last class we heard the story of how Ajnata Sukriti, a person just offered a bale leaf and Lord Shiva became very satisfied. So, being Ashutosha, everybody approaches him of different categories of people like demigods, demons, pious, impious, even devotees also sometimes, and many other personalities, because he is very accessible and very satisfied. Different people approach him because Lord Shiva knows the intention of the person. He tricks the demons, he satisfies the materialists, he blesses the simple-hearted with devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and offer heartfelt benedictions to the devotees and associates with advanced devotees. So he gives his reciprocation. For the demons, if they ask something, he will only trick them. For the simple-hearted, he will give his blessings. For the aspiring devotees, he gives them bhakti, devotional service perspective. For the advanced devotees, he takes their association. So in that way, Lord Shiva is varying in his reciprocation to various personalities. So, Lord Shiva's mercy on the Vaishnavas also we see in Bhagavatam. At one particular point, whenever he sees somebody favorable for devotion service, proactively he goes there to preach them about bhakti. One such situation is for Prachetas. So the 10,000, the Prachetas, 10 sons of Prachina Barhi. So they were asked by their father to engage in tapasya and beget children. So with the whole intention to meditate upon the Lord, they were endeavoring to go in that direction. Lord Shiva voluntarily comes in front of them, preaches them his devotional perspectives, of realization and gives them Rudra Gita, by which when they meditate, they become perfected and they have darshan of the Supreme Lord and they are blessed by the Supreme Lord. So he voluntarily guides devotees in the path of devotional service. So it says, Yah param ramhasa sakshat triguna jiva samjitat bhagavantam vasudevam prapanna sa priyohi me. Saying, Yah prapanna bhagavantam vasudevam. Anyone who is surrendered to the Supreme Lord Vishnu Vasudeva, who is sakshat paramam ramhasaha, who is the supreme controller of everything, like Trigunat Jiva Samgitat, he is the controller of all the material modes, material nature and the living entities in total, is Saha Priyohime, he is very dear to me. So anybody who worships, who is surrendered to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, Lord Narayana, is very dear to me. This is what Lord Shiva is saying. He said how much he is pleased with Krishna's devotees can be seen, how he sometimes appears before them even uninvited. Lord Shiva came to Markandeya Rishi, a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, glorified his devotional attributes and gave him benedictions of knowledge, renunciation and realization of Krishna and the post of spiritual master of the Puranas. This we see in 12th canto. So because he as a Vaishnava, he is seeing that, see, we have gone through the trouble. Why we have to see others go through the same trouble? As a compassionate Vaishnava, he is feeling for the other Vaishnavas, he is benedicting them with opportunities where they can engage in devotional service in a nice way. Then what is his mercy on the demons? So similarly, Lord Shiva becomes very easily pleased also and he becomes very easily angryable also. So his mercy is available to Krishna's devotees also and demons also. But others have to undergo little endeavor to please him. For devotees it is possible. So he uses his demons to show his dependence upon his worshipable Lord Krishna. So he also tricks them by giving benedictions which think they are favorable and actually they are not favorable to them. So which will only lead to their further destruction. Like Shalva, Ravana, Bana, Jayadratha, Kashi Raja were among his various materialistic and demoniac people who eventually were destroyed even though they had summoned Lord Shiva by their austerities and received benedictions from them. So Lord Shiva appears before demons in an official capacity as required as he is by his post. He doesn't come out of affection for them. As a matter of formality, he will come. That is the difference between appearing before devotees and demons. Like one example, what we see in 10th canto is Lord Shiva. There was one demon by name Bhasmasura who engaged in tapasya for Lord Shiva. So since Lord Shiva was not appearing to him, he was cutting his bodily arms and throwing into the fire. At one particular point, he was about to cut his head and offer into the fire. Lord Shiva becomes very satisfied and appears in front of him. Then Lord Shiva then asks him, my dear boy, what benediction do you want? The Bhasmasura says, I want a benediction by which I will be blessed that anybody whose head I will place my hand, he will become to ashes. So Lord Shiva was terrified at the request, but because he said, okay, I am ready to give benediction, now he has to give because he promised to give. So Lord Shiva said, Tadastu. Now this demon, after receiving, he wanted to try, trust, test. So he said, I want to know whether you have given benediction is working or not. Now he wanted to try on Lord Shiva himself. So please come, I want to see. Because Lord Shiva, if he becomes to ashes, then he wanted to save himself. Now the benediction, what he gave became problem. Now Lord Shiva started running everywhere. And the demon was following. Then finally Lord Shiva went to Lord Vishnu and prayed him, please do something. I have given some faulty benediction. Now this person is running behind me. So it is said that Lord appeared in the form of a woman and he challenged Bakasura. Bakasura became infatuated by that woman and he wanted to marry that woman. Bhasmasura. So Lord instigated him for a competition that he will dance and he has to match her dancing. Whatever pose he will put, he has to also imitate the same thing. If he fails, then he cannot win her. So Lord created an illusion in which he was dancing, and at one particular point, he places his hand on the top of his head. So, imitating Bhasmasura also will imitate the same posture. As soon as he will put his hand on his head, he will turn to the ashes. So, in that way, Lord protected Lord Shiva. So there are many people who follow some tamasic Puranas, like Shiva Purana and all. They try to say Lord Shiva is supreme, and they cite an incident where Lord Vishnu is worshipped, Lord Ramachandra is worshipping Lord Shiva before entering into Lanka. So they wanted to make Vishnu as subservient to Shiva, and they support Lord Shiva is the greatest. But upon careful study, this particular subject is not mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. It is only a later edition which got added in other interpretations. And that too, they started glorifying the perspective, saying that Lord Vishnu is worshipping Lord Shiva to become a better devotee than Ravana, so that when he kills Ravana, Lord Shiva does not become angry. See, he is saying, I am worshipping you, I am going to kill your dear devotee Ravana, don't be angry, you be silent. So in that way, it is mentioned in that perspective. And sometimes for Vaishnava perspective also, Lord says, Mad Bhakta Pujyadikaha, my devotee is more worshipable. So Lord is setting an example how a devotee of the Lord should be worshipped nicely. Because devotee takes opportunity to worship the Lord, and Lord takes opportunity to worship his devotees. There is a competition which is going on. So similarly, here also it is said, Lord Shiva is guiding Parvati Devi by saying, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. Tasmat parataram Devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all kinds of worship of Lord Vishnu is the highest. But greater than worship of Lord Vishnu is worshipping his devotee or paraphernalia that is connected in the service of the Lord. This verse is one which is certified by Lord Shiva in Padma Purana, which is quoted by all the acharyas. So, one more place also it is said, Lord Shiva's anger in that perspective. So, his anger is born out of compassion, as his intolerance in seeing conditioned souls wasting time by not taking to devotional service. Like sometimes Lord Shiva becomes angry so that we are not becoming devotees, so he becomes angry to set right us in the path. Like that example is also there in the fourth canto when Lord Shiva became angry on Daksha. He punished him sufficiently. So at one particular point, he created one demon out of his body by name Veerabhadra, who went and chopped off the head of Daksha also. So later demigods go and approach Lord Shiva and try to pacify him. So when they are pacified, Lord Shiva says to them specifically, as a dutiful father and spiritual master of all living entities, Lord Shiva uses his anger to rectify people. In the context of Daksha episode, he told Brahma that he doesn't take offenses of the demigods seriously, but punishes them only to reform them as a teacher. And sometimes teacher also, to reform a student, he will beat with a stick. Because the severity of the mistake, samadana danda beda. So according to the severity of the mistake, the student has to be reformed. When the demigods take the issues very lightly, sometimes they have to be punished similarly. So similarly, Shiva's benevolence is also mentioned in Bhagavatam 8th canto. So like when the Samudra Manthana, the churning of the Samudra Manthana is happening, the first thing which was produced out was hala hala, a great poison, and it was about to destroy the whole world. So then all the demigods, they approach Lord Shiva and they pray to him, and they request his mercy. So Lord Shiva at that time was there with his wife Parvati. So Lord Shiva encourages wife Parvati also to give permission, because wife Parvati also knows the capacity of Lord Shiva, that he is not affected by this poison. So there in that perspective it says, Lord Shiva drank that entire poison and he kept it at his throat. That's why he became known as Neelakanta. And few drops of poison that spilled in this world became snakes, scorpions and other poisonous living entities have taken that poison. So it says, Shukdev Goswami comments about the character of Lord Shiva by saying, Tapyante lokatapena sadavaha prayashojana paramaradhanam tadhi purushasya akilatmana. So great personalities always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of the people in general. See, devotees, they paradukka dukhi, when they see whole world is suffering, they are not happy. They are also distressed. In the similar perspective, great personalities, when they see the whole world is suffering, they also feel that suffering. So that is considered the highest parama aradhanam taddi. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Lord. That is Purushasya Akilatmanaha, who is present in everyone's heart. Relieving the distress of other devotees is considered as highest form of worshipping of the Supreme Lord. Means to engage in the service of other devotees. So then there are certain questions in which people also inquire. If Lord Shiva is great personality, why he could not discriminate Ganesha is his son? Why he had to fight with his own son? And why he has to chop off his head? So it is said there are various scriptures and there are stories which are of Kalpa Beda, different days of day, different times, different pastimes have happened. There is always a minute variation. The one reason what they say how Ganesha was taken birth, he came from the bodily lustre of Lord Shiva. So he became so beautiful personality that he started becoming a womanizer. He started running behind women because of his bodily lustre and he started to tempt every woman. So Parvati Devi became offended by this and she cursed her son. Because you are having a beautiful bodily structure, you are running behind women, that you have an ugly body where nobody will come before you. So for that reason, in one particular pastime, Lord Shiva had to fight with his own son, chop off his head, and an elephant head was placed on his body. This is one reason they say. The second reason they say, most prominent story, Lord Parvati Devi, when she was in Kailasha, so she was in her house. So one day when she was taking bath, she had asked Nandi to take care of the entrance. So Nandi was there and nobody should be allowed. So Madam, Mistress has ordered and he is standing there. But when Lord Shiva comes, he is the master. So Lord Shiva was automatically sent inside. So at that time, Parvati Devi was feeling, see, even though he is obeying my instruction, but he is first servant of Lord Shiva. So I should also have one servant who is very dear to me and who only obeys my votes. How Nandi is for Lord Shiva, I should also have somebody who is for me. So next time whenever she was contemplating in the direction when she was about to take bath, from the some say sandalwood paste, some say the turmeric paste what she was about to apply on her body, she removed that body, that thing, and she made a person and she gave life to that boy, and he is known as Ganesha. And he was asked to guard at the entrance of the house. Nobody should be allowed into the house. This boy, very active, he was standing there. So suddenly Lord Shiva came home after a long visit. He was outside for a long time. So when he came home, then he saw this boy standing at the entrance, nobody to be allowed inside. So Lord Shiva became little offended. He said all his ganas to go and take care of this boy. So this boy easily defeated all the associates of Lord Shiva. Then Shiva himself came. The fighting is so severe that this boy was able to counteract even Lord Shiva. At one particular point, it is said that Lord Shiva requested Lord Vishnu to please help him. So Lord Vishnu came there and he displayed some yoga maya in which everybody forgot what is happening. In the meantime, Lord Shiva chopped off the head of that boy. In the meantime, some commotion is happening. Parvati Devi came outside after taking her bath. When she came there, she saw her dear boy lying in the dead pool. She became so angry. Then she started cursing all the people who are involved there. Now Lord Shiva had to pacify his wife. Now he said, how to pacify? Now bring back my son back to life. Only then I will be pacified. So then Lord Shiva said to his Ganas, go in the northern direction. The living entity who is sleeping with his head in the northern direction, chop that head and bring it. They roamed everywhere on this earth. They could not find any living entity. Generally, nobody sleeps with his head in the northern direction. So, only there was one dull elephant, Dumbo elephant. At last they found this Dumbo elephant who was sleeping with the head in the northern direction. They chopped off its head and they brought it and they fixed it. And the boy was brought back to life. In that way, he became Ganesha. So, because he became the dear son of Lord Shiva, he was given the in charge of all the Ganas, Gana Ishaha. Or he is also known as the remover of the obstacles. So in that way, so that people worship him for removing all the obstacles in their material perspectives. So similarly, there is one more perspective about Parvati and Ganga Devi also. Are they his consorts or no? So it is said that the king of Himalayas had two daughters. One is Ganga, the second one was Uma. On the request of the demigods, Ganga Devi was given to the demigods. So she accepted the form of a river and she was flowing it across the 14 planetary systems. First she went to the Svargaloka, so that all the people there will become purified. Then Parvati Devi, she did tapasya, she gained Lord Shiva as her husband. Then after some time, when Lord Shiva, there was one requirement that they wanted a son who could lead the army of the demigods. The commander-in-chief is required. So that possible only when Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi will unite. So for that purpose, all the demigods will instigate Lord Shiva to engage in sexual activities with Parvati. So that is Kandarpa, where he becomes burnt by the ashes of by the Lord Shiva. But later, Lord Shiva engages in sexual desire, sexual activity with Parvati Devi for a very, very long time. It is said that when he was about to discharge, Lord Shiva was disturbed and he discharges that semen which was carried away by Vayu and Agni, and they are finding a suitable place where to deposit. So nobody was ready to take the deposit. At that time they say, they came and requested Ganga Devi to carry that semen. So Ganga Devi initially accepted, but later when it was put into her body, because of that heat, she could not tolerate it, spilled out of his body. And the Ganga Devi, it started overflowing everywhere because of the excessive heat. The liquids which came and touched the ocean, they all became the ores, gold, silver, copper, all the ores they became because of the semen that fell from Lord Shiva's body. And finally, she also delivered one baby boy who is known as Skanda, Kartikeya or Shanmukha. So since he was delivered, 6 maidens were given to him to take care of that boy, 6 maidens. So because he was so hungry, he was drinking milk from 6 people simultaneously. He had exhibited 6 heads. That's why he is called as Shanmukha, one who has 6 heads. And it is also said because he is born on Sarvana Nakshatra, he is known as Sarvana Bhava. And because he has slipped from Lord Shiva and fell into Ganga, he is known as Skanda with various meanings. So later he was given the commander-in-chief of the demigods and he fights for the wars on behalf of the demigods with the demons. So this is some of the perspectives. So we have to understand the position very clearly. Lord Shiva being the greatest Vaishnava, Vaishnavana Meta Shambhu. So he is always aspiring for the well-wishing of the other Vaishnavas. He supports them in their devotional service and he should not be taken very lightly. This is what Kashyapa is saying. We always follow in his footsteps. We always take his mercy. We always eat the Mahaprasadam of Kashyapa, of Lord Śiva, so that we are all proper in our consciousness. So in that way, Lord Shiva's character has been glorified by here Kashyapa Muni, and further verses are there. We'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, पिताय गौर प्रेमानंद.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే